Wake up, wake up. Larry Krueger, Damon Bruce. It's Wednesday. Let's talk a little Niners. It's Bears week. Gotta have it. Let's go.
It is Wednesday, December 4th. Welcome to Wake Up, brought to you by Sam's Chowder House. It's great to have you back here. And look, Larry, I'm no math major. You're telling me today is December 4th. I can conclude that we are 21 days, 3 weeks until Christmas, for goodness sakes. If there's going to be any NFL Christmas miracle here in Northern California, it needs to start at Levi's Stadium with a win over the Bears on Sunday. You have reached the must-win portion of the season. I know that we throw that phrase around earlier in the year, but now you pretty much mean it. Here it is. You got to basically win out if you're going to be a playoff team, and still you're going to need help in all other places. But that's the corner the 49ers have painted themselves into. Larry, I don't know if they're going to win this game. I don't know. I mean, my confidence in the 49ers is rattled, and more importantly than that, I think the confidence in themselves internally in that locker room has been rattled over the last couple of weeks and the results that we've seen.
Well, you hear a lot of the same things that you've been hearing all year. Hey, we just need to watch the film, correct our mistakes, put our head down. If, it's not about them, it's about us and all these things. And it's all delusional. It's all delusional talk. I mean, I don't want to insult the players, but I mean, they can only say what they can say. They can only do what they can do. After a while, the results, the 49ers coming into this game with Buffalo, I mean, this is an unbelievable stat. Second in the NFL in yards differential. So, if you look at the yards that you allowed, the yards that you gained, they were second in the NFL. So they should have been more of a powerhouse team than they are. And instead, they're 5-7, and they've lost a lot of close games. They haven't won hardly any. They really haven't beaten anybody all year. They've backslid as a roster. There's tons of pressure on the quarterback, and now he's kind of backslid because of that pressure. And it's just that everywhere you look, they're old, expensive, and without young talent. And
yeah, I mean, and
they're in a bad spot right now. They're in a bad place.
And that's including what I think we all agree on is a pretty good draft class. And we're still complaining about the lack of young talent on this team. But it's accumulation of bad drafts over the years that have sort of come home to roost when you thought like, oh, so, just coming out of a Super Bowl, they're ready to roll. No, actually, the mistakes made before the years leading up to the Super Bowl have now, sort of materialized after the fact. And it's like, have you watched the last few LeBron James games? It's like he got old overnight, man. It really is. He's not even moving. He's walking out there.
How about Steph?
When it comes to an end, it comes to an end. It's feeling like that for the 49ers in many, many ways. The most misleading stat in football that I found, you got that one out of the Buffalo game going into it. Coming out of the Buffalo game, as of this morning, here's the most misleading stat in the NFL. The 49ers have the 5th ranked defense in football. Like, what? What, are you kidding me? That's got to
in yards.
Yards. And this is why.
Well, once again, Damon, I don't know if you looked at those numbers going into Buffalo, but the Niners were better than the Bills on offense and defense as far as yards go. I mean, how about that? Here's where the Niners ranked. The Niners came into Sunday, 4th rated offense, 6th rated defense. Bills came into Sunday, 13th rated offense, 15th rated defense. That's yards. Now let's go to points. Niners on offense, 13th in points, defense 20th in points. Buffalo, 3rd in points on offense, 7th in points allowed on defense. So, I mean, what is the difference? The Bills are good in the red zone on both sides of the ball, and the 49ers are bad in the red zone on both sides of the ball. And the 49ers are bad at turning it over. They're even on the season. They've only had one takeaway in the last month. And Buffalo's plus 14 on the year. And by the way, the Niners have had 8 giveaways in the last month. So the Niners lose the turnover battle. The Niners lose in the red zone. And because of it, the 49ers are, and why is this happening? I mean, they're a depleted football team. There's no question about it. They're not the same team, but just ask yourself this. I mean, if the 49ers had even forget 8, because that's how many they missed on, but let's say they went 50%. Let's say they had 4 more first round draft choices scattered throughout this roster, it would be a different roster.
You think so? I mean, if those picks hit, if those were the good guys, yeah. If they were 4 more busts, if they were 4 more Solomon Thomases, it wouldn't have helped very much at all. But yeah, they've missed an awful lot at the top of the draft, and it felt like Brock Purdy really did get them through that terrible trade for Trey Lance. But those roosters do come home to lay their eggs eventually, and that's what has happened. The 49ers spackled their way through all of those missed draft picks, and now we're seeing the cracks in the wall. Again, would you say they had a top 5? They were top 5 in both categories. Offensive yards, defensive yards.
Well, top 6. Yeah, top 6.
All right. Well, pretty good. That's where you want to be. That's where playoff teams live, up there in that echelon. Well, after that Buffalo game, they're now averaging 22.5 points per game. They've fallen to 16th in all of football. And this is a massive regression. I looked in 2023, they were averaging 29. In 2022, they were averaging 26.5. That was 3rd in the NFL and 6th in the NFL, respectively. So they have just gone in the wrong direction. I think that the offensive line has actually borne the brunt of some unfair criticism. It's the wide receivers. It's the skill position players or lack thereof that have really haunted the 49ers this year. And that's insane because everyone was fawning over how great their skill positions were not even 11 months ago. So that's how quickly things changed.
They called them the Avengers. Remember?
Yeah.
The Avengers.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I guess they all got avenged.
Yes.
I mean, what has happened to the Avengers?
Thanos wins in this version that the 49ers are playing. And look, here come the Chicago Bears. Now, Larry, I would like to think I am a valuable piece of this show every single week, but this week I'll be even more valuable than usual because I grew up rooting for the Chicago Bears. And I still sadistically watch this team that has basically done nothing but punch me in the face since 1985. There is no fun to be found in Chicago in any football season, really, but for 4 or 5 of them in my lifetime, to the point where, it's like I almost root for bad things to happen. I mean, I think I've said
then this is your kind of year.
I want Virginia McCaskey. Here's the thing. No, because Virginia hasn't died yet. She's got to go.
Oh, come on. Let's leave Virginia alone.
No. When you're flying in coaches to interview them and you put them in coach in section B12 on a Southwest flight, that's top down shit right there. So Virginia's cheap ass has got to go, period, end of story. Meanwhile, we're looking at a 4-8 football team that fired their head coach a year after everyone said, fire him right now and go get Jim Harbaugh. Jesus Christ, the most obvious answer in the world is right there in Ann Arbor. Go do it. They didn't do it. They doubled down on Eberflus as they drafted a number 1 overall quarterback who has been thrown into chaos. And if you're grading Caleb Williams on how he's performed in the incompetence and chaos of the Chicago Bears, he should be a fucking Pro Bowler, Larry. Like, it's amazing what he's been able to do, considering everyone around him is a douchebag when it comes to winning football games.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I mean, look at the talent he's got. I think they may have gotten too much talent around him.
It doesn't matter how much talent you have when you have a head coach who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, how to operate a clock, how to close out a game. The incompetence is in the coaching room. They do have talent. They do, but they don't have much of an offensive line, and they certainly don't have much of a defensive line. And the Bears, at 4-8 are clearly beatable, but so are the 49ers right now. You got the Chicago Bears, like the NFL leaders in self-inflicted wounds with bad coaches and bad beats. I'll tell you what they got. They got DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore. Highly skilled, really talented guys. Rome Odunze has had a pretty good year. Cole Kmet,
I don't know about that.
Yeah, he's all right. I mean, given the circumstances,
one touchdown. There's more people on this live stream than he has touchdowns.
It's the same amount. It's more touchdowns than Christian McCaffrey and the same amount as Debo. So,
yeah, but Christian McCaffrey didn't play all year.
Well, either way, Odunze is. I'm not giving up.
I like him wrong, but I'm just saying he plays 12 games. He's got one touchdown.
I hear you. He had a coach who did not know what he was doing. Caleb Williams, again, I think he's been handcuffed by his own team's incompetence, and I'm still not sure what he's going to be in this league. He has moments of flash, though, that make you go, holy shit. I mean, maybe they do got a quarterback. Maybe this kid really is going to be the answer. But then there are other moments that make you say, oh, well, it's all breaking down around him, and it's not working at all. They don't have much of a pass rush, as I was saying, Larry. Not a single guy on this team is more than 5 sacks. And it's not like they got a lot of guys on the team with 5 sacks.
I like their pass rush better than the Niners.
Well, and that's the problem. That's why this week is a full-on gambling layoff. If there was ever a game to stay away from a gambling standpoint, it's this one. I have no idea what Chicago team is going to be showing up, playing, without Eberflus, playing for their new interim head coach. They're going to be motivated. And again, the 49ers are going to be very motivated here. We know that the 49ers are a prideful bunch of guys who are pros and who are very unimpressed with themselves over the last 2 weeks and want a big-time course correction. I just don't know if they can summon it. But it's not for the lack of trying or wanting it. So you got 2 totally desperate football teams trying to prove things in a few different directions. Defensively, Jalen Johnson's a really good corner. Kevin Byard, the third, is the leading tackler, which means he does his job well, and the guys in front of him, because he's a safety, aren't doing their jobs particularly well. That's why your safety's your leading tackler. So a eminently beatable Bears team comes to Levi's, but they might be a little trickier. They might have something that is off book that we haven't quite seen with Eberflus not there. So there's an element of what might be new coming to Levi's Stadium in this Bears team. And then there's the element of how are the 49ers picking up the pieces and who really is available for them this week going forward. Is Bosa back? Are we going to see, Diamador Lenore return? What are they going to get out of their running back position with its, Isaac Guerrero and a guy that they just signed? So it's layoff.
Well, is my gambling it's the Bears and Niners. I mean, there's probably better. It's a volatile matchup. It's a hard matchup to predict. Caleb's the interesting story here, I think, just from the standpoint of, Jaden Daniels was picked after him. Jaden Daniels looks better. Drake May was picked after him. Drake May looks better. Michael Penix was picked after him. I'd much rather have Michael Penix. Bo Nix was picked after him.
What Michael Penix looks like, though. I mean, I love him
as a pro, but I mean, I don't need to see that. I saw what I needed to see in college. I know Michael
Penix. There's nothing you see in college translates to a minute of come on, Larry.
No, but I mean, Michael Penix is a huge arm. Michael Penix is maybe the biggest arm that's come into the league since Mahomes. I mean, he's got a huge arm. Now he's in a good organization.
Caleb Williams running out there with a pop gun.
Yeah, but this guy, Michael Penix, it is a pop gun compared to Michael Penix. I mean, Michael Penix has got a phenomenal howitzer, much better arm than Caleb Williams. Also, the thing about it is the Bears fuck up quarterbacks like forever. So the odds that the Bears are going to get it right at quarterback is not good. And then when you factor in the SC factor, the SC quarterbacks for the most part suck. Rob Johnson was supposed to be great. Carson Palmer was supposed to be great. Matt Barkley was supposed to be great. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on.
Matt Leinart. I mean,
Matt Leinart was supposed to be great. I mean, John Paul, whatever. They got a million guys. They got a bunch of guys who are all supposed to be damn good. Sam Darnold.
Sean Salisbury, Larry. Sean Salisbury.
Sean Salisbury actually was thought to be not that great. No, I know. Joking, Sean, if you're out there. But no, I mean, SC quarterbacks fail at a real high rate. Bears quarterbacks fail at a real high rate. I do think it's really interesting that Caleb looked horrible under the last coach and better under this coach. I heard Dan Orlovsky about a month ago, a guy who also couldn't play quarterback at all, go on TV and act like he's great at quarterback. But his criticism of Caleb was spot on. He's like, he gets to the top of his drop and he just starts to read the field at the top of the drop when everybody else is reading the field pre-snap and in the drop. He's reading the field at the top of his drop. So he's just holding the ball way too long and the timing's all off and it looks bad. Well, they got rid of the offensive coordinator. They brought in a different guy calling the plays. They've now he threw for 340 against Minnesota a couple weeks ago. And he looks better. Now, he still has a day where he threw for 93 yards. He still has multiple games. I think he's got like 5 games or 6 games where he's completed for under. But this guy's got 6 games where he's completed under 53%.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's 12.
He's had some rough days at the office.
Career. Yeah, 12 games into a career on a bad football team that doesn't do a lot of blocking for him. So,
yeah, but they blew it because they got him so many weapons ready to play right now. And like when Caleb's ready in 2 years, Keenan's going to be done. So that move made no sense. Made no sense at all. Their timelines are not going to align with one another. I mean, that's a problem. I don't know why they would ever do that. The Adunze pick made a lot of sense, right? Because these guys came in together. They'll grow up together. But the picking up of the veteran receivers, I don't know that made a whole lot of sense. But I do like Ryan Poles. I think he's a good young GM. I think he's made some huge strides. Gervon Dexter, number 99 on their D-line, is really playing at a pretty high level. He was their second-round pick out of Florida. Austin Booker from Kansas is a good edge rusher when he puts on a little weight. Stevenson, Tyreek is one of the great defensive backs in the game for sure. So they have some pieces. Kyler Gordon, Jalen Johnson. They got a good secondary for sure. So we'll see what they got. I mean, the Niners are at this spot, Damon, where they can take nobody lightly. They need to fire their A game to beat anybody in the NFL. And when you lose like the Niners have lost recently, you start to think that you're never going to win again. So the Niners have to get into a game, even though they got a bunch of guys who claim they believe. I bet you that they don't believe and that it actually takes getting into the game with Chicago, having success, building a lead before you're going to get these guys to believe again. Bears go up 14-0 in this game, and it's done. It is done. The Niners will not get off the canvas and get back up in this game if they fall down.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners are front runners. I mean, that's it. That's who they are. That's what they're built to be. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as you get early leads and sit on them. But, they have a style of play and a conservative coach who has a formula that, again, when the formula's, when the math is mathing, there's a lot of wins on that, equal sign. There really are. But the math has not been mathing at all for the 49ers this year. Their red zone of efficiency is it's an abomination. It's an abomination. I mean, they've been awful in the red zone. And that's something that I think Kyle does need to answer for. It looks like
Kev says teams historically rally behind their interim head coach when their head coach gets fired midseason. That will be the case for the Bears this week with Thomas Brown taking over for Eberflus. So that's the danger factor, I think, is this what Kev's pointing out here is that, why? Because what happens is it's like anything else. Like when you think the teacher has you slotted into you're this kid or that kid, then you just kind of be like, well, this is how she sees me. Well, and then there's a new teacher. You're like, well, wait a second. There's no preconceived notions here. I get a fresh slate. And, I think as a kid, you're like, okay, I got a fresh slate. I like the feeling of that. Well, these football players are exactly the same. They've been yelled at and ripped by these coaches all year. And now it's like, okay, this coach is out and I got a new coach. I got a new lease on life. So everybody shows up that next practice, that next game ready to show what they got. And that puts the team in a better spot and oftentimes leads to victory. And so that makes this a very dangerous spot for the Niners, I think.
Larry, would you call it a 4-8 team with a little spring in their step. I mean, that's what I think we're going to get. They're a 4-8 team that's going to be bouncy, so that's what the 49ers have to deal with as they deal with their own issues. Now, before we get into the Niners and their myriad of issues, and I'm sure we'll get to many of them, we've been picking it all apart all damn year long. Have you seen the latest from Mike Florio?
Yes.
Mike Florio suggests that the Bears go about fixing their head coaching woes by trading for Kyle Shanahan, and the compensation would be 2 first-round picks. Now, if I'm the Chicago Bears, knowing that there are other head coaches who could come in and do the job, and I retain my picks, like I think I would do that. And if I'm the 49ers, I honestly, look, I don't think they're about to walk away from Kyle Shanahan. I really don't. But if they were, 2 first-round picks would be the right sort of exactly what you would sort of want if you were crafting a way out where you got something for his departure. So instead of like teasing Mike Florio or saying that he once was a really credible NFL reporter and now he is a rumor mongerer extraordinaire, what do you think of that? Like, how interested is Jed York in this Mike Florio article?
How what? How interested
is Jed York in this Mike Florio article?
It's interesting. I mean, when I first hear of the idea of parting ways with Shanahan and Lynch, because I mean, here's the reality. Tim Kawakami just wrote an article in the San Francisco Standard about, the 6 or 7 reasons why he doesn't think, moving off of Shanahan is a good idea.
Right.
And he had 6 or 7 ideas or 8 or 9 ideas or whatever it was. Most of them were bullshit, right? As far as like stuff like this, like maybe Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Brock Purdy won't fit the scheme of the new head coach. Well, that's just bullshit. I mean,
yeah,
there's not that. Come on. So there's a scheme out there where an all-pro linebacker, an all-pro defensive end, and a very good young quarterback don't fit. I mean, it's just stupid. That's stupid talk. But he also made some good points, which is that if you dump Shanahan, you might be dumping Lynch too. And if you dump Shanahan, you might be dumping Lynch and Purdy too. And then, Jed, you may have a 5-year rebuild on your hands that you're trying to do in 45 minutes, and it may not work. So you better do some communicating with, all the powers that be and figure out what are going to be the other shoes to fall if you traded or fired or mutually parted with Kyle Shanahan, because you may be on the look for a GM, a head coach, a quarterback. You may be building this thing almost like an expansion team, especially with the cap situation with you're paying older guys who are hurt. You may not be able to get Ben Johnson. He just turned down the Commanders, who had a brand new regime, and, Jaden Daniels. He turned them down. He's going to come here with Brock Purdy, and you've got, old man CMC, old man Trent, old man Ayuk, old man Debo, old man Kittle, all making big bucks. And you've got to offload 6 or 7 key guys outside of those guys. This might not be a coveted spot from outside. Plus, there's going to be negative repercussions within the coaching community from other coaches who are going to look at Kyle Shanahan and say, this guy was in the Super Bowl literally 10 months ago, and now the owner's running him out. Do I really want a situation that's that volatile? And the Niners might not be able to attract a head coach on the heels of Shanahan. So there's all kinds. Yeah, right. The angry Niner fan who's pissed right now is like, get rid of Shanahan, get Ben Johnson, get him in here, and that's it. And mission accomplished, and then we'll be great again. It's like, dude, you're fucking high. That guy's right 38. He's never been a head coach. He's been an offensive coordinator since 2022. He has arguably, the Lions have the best offensive line, the best running backs, the best tight end, as good a receivers as there are. He's got a surrounding cast that's awesome of talent. And so maybe it's that talent and not his play calling that's so awesome. So all I'm saying is, yeah, there's a way to do this and emerge, out of the other side doing well. You trade Kyle Shanahan to your Bears, let's say. You get 2 2s or 2 1s and a 2. You get 3 picks coming back. You turn those picks into something. You get a phenomenal head coach. He comes in. It's a defensive guy, but he brings an offensive guy with him, or it's the opposite. And now and Shanahan moves on. And everything's seamless, and you go back to winning 12, 13 games next year. Or Lynch could walk, but Purdy could blow up. No coaches could come here. And you've got Jed and 2024 version of Tom Sula and a bunch of angry fans with high expectations and a bloated cap. So I don't know. I mean, this is not be careful. All I would say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's like a buyer beware situation. I don't know why this popped in my head other than I think I just saw it a couple days ago. Comedy Central running like office marathons all the time. And I saw the one where Ryan is out talking to Michael Scott about business school and starts asking him, grilling him questions. And then turns out Michael Scott can't answer the questions correctly or very well at all. One of the questions is, what costs more, to create a new customer or to keep an existing customer?
Right.
And the answer is, new customers cost an awful lot more to obtain than keeping an existing customer. And I sort of look at the Shanahan situation from that. As down as you might be on him, please step back, look at the 35,000-foot view of what this guy has done since he's been here. Only the Kansas City Chiefs have really had more success. This has been a bad year, but there are a lot of roster reasons that go into the reason why this has been a bad year. And I'll grant you that Shanahan does feel like he's got the NFL head coach equivalent of writer's block. It's not a great year. But to go all the way back to day one of a new coach, no matter who he is, it's, unknown. Or you bring in a guy like John Gruden, right? And even someone with that much experience, you still don't know what you're going to get. I believe consistency is one of the biggest missing ingredients in all of sports, with all movement, player movement, impatience in franchises and free agency and huge turnover all the time. The 49ers have consistency. Now, maybe that consistency has caught up with them in a negative way this year. They become a tad predictable. I'd like to see a new set of eyes, but I don't want Shanahan's eyes off the team, and I don't want him out of the room. I really don't.
But you want changes. You just said it.
Well, I think Sorensen's got to go, and you need to have a new special teams coordinator in here before kickoff on fucking Sunday, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the question is, though, Damon, are those things that you just want, or are those things that Jed will demand? See, here's how this thing's going to go. They're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, it's possible, but they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to make the playoffs, and then there's going to be this what's next mode. And then that's the question. If you're Jed, Damon, do you say, there's lots of ways to do this. Do you say, Kyle, it was just a bad year. Come on back. No changes to our structure. No changes to any of my demands. I believe in you. I believe in John. You tell me how I can help. I'm just here for you. And it's no changes and everybody's back. That's option one. Option two is you trade him and he's gone. Option three is you don't trade him, but you mutually part ways. And then option four would be, hey, Kyle, I want you back, but I want you back with some definitive changes. And then the question is, what are those changes? And is he willing to make those changes? Or does he get insulted by that and say, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home, knowing that he's achieved a status within the league where it doesn't matter what he's walking away from contractually, because he'll get more wherever he's going new. And he may look at the situation and say, Brock's okay, but recently he's been kind of mid and our cap is kind of broken and we've kind of surfed this way. Essentially what the Niners have done is they were surfing. They got on a big, big wave And then there was a second wave right behind it, and they rode it all the way to the shore. And now they have to decide, it's time to get back on your board and work and paddle back out there and set yourself up for the next big wave. But there's work involved, and there might need to be changes along the way.
I mean, here's the thing. On what grounds, based on the results of this year, is Kyle going to plant his flag in everything's perfect mountain? I don't think that Shanahan, who is, football stubborn, is like that obtuse to work with, right? I would.
He has said this week that he believes in Sorensen.
Well, yeah, and I'm going to tell you, Larry, how much I like working with you until the minute I get a better offer and I got options. You know what I mean? No, I love you. You know that. But no, but of course he says that. Remember, Jordan Poole was going to be a Warrior forever. That was 24 hours before he got traded to Washington.
Mike Dunleavy said that. Dunleavy said he's going to be a Warrior for many years to come, and it wasn't even many weeks to come. It was like 4 days.
Everything is business as usual until shit becomes unusual. So, of course, Nick Sorensen gets the big hug publicly for Shanahan right now. But if the situation was, Kyle, we're moving on from you, if you don't let go of Nick Sorensen, Kyle will drown Nick Sorensen in a shallow puddle in that parking lot by himself. Come on, Kyle.
We'll see. But what if he just pushes back?
You think Kyle wants to make $12 to $15 million a year? You're the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, but he's not a native San Franciscan. He's not from here, Damon. It's not like he has to be here. He doesn't have to be here. He's not from here. He could easily leave here. He doesn't, he's coveted, and he's going to make a lot of money. I mean,
so here's the deal. If you are Kyle Shanahan and you are really thinking about leaving, what you need to do is resign in the post-game press conference after the Arizona game in week, or what was it? Do they wrap up with Arizona?
No. Yes. Week 18.
Week 18, they lose to Arizona. Kyle should resign right there because there will be trades coming in, right? Like, we'll give you 2 picks for your head coach. Kyle's not going to want to go to that team and not have those picks. So Kyle Shanahan, if he's going to go, he should resign immediately so whatever team tries to acquire him doesn't do something like trade away his ability to win early by giving up first-round draft picks for a guy who was going to be on the market anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are as far as that goes, as far as, his contract length, and if he resigns, is there a non-compete? Can he immediately go to another team? Seems like there would be language in there that would kind of prevent that, but who knows? Anthony Bartolucci says, Larry's strategy is to force Kyle to quit by giving him ultimatums. No, that's not my strategy at all. I'm actually probably one of the only people that backs Shanahan. I like Shanahan, and I'd want him to stay, but you're not staying. How did you get here? How did you get here? You got here by missing on a lot of picks. Not acceptable. And your defense has backslid dramatically, and your special teams is bad. So yeah, I want accountability. And if Kyle doesn't want accountability, then he doesn't need to be here. You got to be accountable, right? Everybody's got to be accountable. I want accountability for my special teams coach and my defensive coordinator. I mean, I want, you can't just be here. These are not, this isn't charity.
We know what he says publicly. We don't know what the behind the scenes stuff is. So let's not, of course he's going to tell you that he believes in Nick Sorensen because that guy's.
My point is he's not coming back. He's not coming back. Just if I'm Jed, he's not coming back with just, hey, you're just back and it's just give it another go. No, I want changes. I want improvement. I want to see them go. I'll write the check for a good defensive coordinator, but go attract one. I'll write the check for the best special teams coordinator, but go get one. I'll even pay, $500,000 just to bring in a veteran draft consultant so that you have another guy to bounce ideas off of. And if you want to listen to him, great. And if you don't, fine. but I'll bring in another guy and pay him $500,000 to sit here through, January through April and watch film with us and consult with us so we can perfect our draft and be even better. I mean, and they would probably come back and say, well, look at our draft. We don't need that. We just had a great draft. You've missed on 8 of 10 number 1 picks. Don't tell me what you need. I will tell you what you need.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I'm watching Ricky Pearsall do nothing week in, week out. So, I mean, there are other certainly victory laps around the draft to be taken, but missing on all these number 1s has had great consequence to them. And look, I would think that the most arrogant Kyle Shanahan you've ever seen is going to be the guy who sits down to talk to Jed at the end of the year. No fucking way. Kyle understands that this thing's going in the wrong direction. Look at him. I mean, look at him. The dude's color is off. He looks like a different person. So he knows. He all he's got to do is look in a mirror and see how off kilter the 49ers are. So I don't think Kyle is going to be sitting down just fucking, don't tell me I'm a coaching genius, Jed. See, that's what Jim Harbaugh would have done. That's why
I hope. But you know what, Damon, though, a lot of times it's like it's a slippery slope. Like Jed's never given us restrictions before. This is the beginning. Oh my goodness. Now we're going to, so it's like, there'll probably be some pushback. I mean,
well, here's the deal. If
Jed's
you
not a football guy, they might push back on him.
If you wanted absolute, unquestioned, unilateral power, you needed to win that Super Bowl. That is how this works. That's how this works. You cannot tell me that you are the man when you don't have the trophy that the man holds. You're not yet. You're really good. And that's the thing. I just don't think that when Jed and Kyle sit down for this meeting, it's going to have some adversarial tone to it. I think everyone is still on the same page of this is the right guy for the job. This is the right job for the guy. It's the San Francisco 49ers, dude. I mean, the choice between being the head coach of the 49ers or Tennessee Titans is no choice. There's no kid in Tennessee who would choose Tennessee Titans. This is royalty. This is an older team. This is an older team with cap problems, without a star quarterback, in a league that has a bunch of star quarterbacks and some really talented young teams that are getting nothing but better. Green Bay, Houston, Detroit. So it's just they're in their their window has closed a little bit. If you believe you don't have a star quarterback, you should put Purdy on the block right now and start Mordecai week 1 next year and draft a guy.
Well, why? You're going to play he's easily your best quarterback. Just play your best quarterback.
He's not a star. He's about to make
so what?
So
what? So it doesn't matter if he's not a star. You play your best quarterback. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
He's the best quarterback you have right now.
I was just surprised to hear you classify Brock Purdy as he's not a star. I mean,
I don't think he's a star quarterback. I mean, as far as Cowherd had the stat, 21 quarterbacks, the last 21 to win the Super Bowl, 18 have been future Hall of Famers or Hall of Famers. Is he that?
Well,
no.
Look,
I mean, he's not. He's not that. So, we can. So it doesn't mean he can't win, right? It's not 21 of 21. It's 18 of 21. But you're trying to be the 3 of the last 21.
Well, the reason why a lot of those quarterbacks, I don't mean to cut you off there. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The reason why a lot of those quarterbacks go to the Hall of Fame is because they have won Super Bowls. So it's not like you need the Hall of Fame quarterback to get the Super Bowl. It's when you get the Super Bowl, you are now considered a Hall of Fame quarterback. That's kind of how it works. I think you got to sort of, a little backwards there. It's correlation, not causation. And I mean, had Brock Purdy and the 49ers beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in last year's Super Bowl, even with this season playing out exactly as it is right now, there would be no questioning him, who he is, and everyone would be talking about how Brock Purdy, with all of his, passer rating first 25 games, better than just about everyone who's ever played, and he's got a Super Bowl. He is a future Hall of Famer.
He's not a future Hall of Famer, but he's a very good quarterback.
If Nick Bosa makes a tackle of Patrick Mahomes on 4th and 1 in overtime, Brock Purdy's on a Hall of Fame track now.
He's a very good quarterback, but I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I would disagree because Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. He's not a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, there are quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls who aren't Hall of Famers. So it's not like if you win a Super Bowl, you're a Hall of Famer. Yeah, if you win 5, you're a Hall of Famer. But there are guys who have won Super Bowls that aren't Hall of Famers. And there's many quarterbacks who have gone and aren't Hall of Famers. Okay, so what is Brock? Okay, let's just talk. What exactly is Brock? Vic says he's a nicer, where was that? A nicer Jeff Garcia. Jeff Garcia is very nice, by the way.
He is very nice.
I think that the comparison that I made a year ago or 2 years ago, and people were ripping me left and right. How could you make such a ridiculous comparison? Was totally spot on then, and it's spot on now, which was that Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts are very much similar guys. Very similar. Same size, same height, same hand size, same arm length, both, religious, both, grounded, both quiet, kind of unassuming leaders, both have mobility. But I mean, there's so many comparisons between Hurts and Purdy, and nobody wanted to go with it because one guy's black and the other guy's white. And it's like, oh my God, I can't get beyond that. It's like, or you're going to point to the one, Jalen Hurts is slightly stronger, leg strength. Okay, so what? Brock Purdy's got better quickness. I mean, what? They are literally the same freaking guy. Okay, and Jalen Hurts can win a Super Bowl, but it doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. And Brock Purdy, I think, can win a Super Bowl, and it doesn't mean he's a Hall of Famer. But to see what I'm saying, if you put Jalen Hurts, last year Jalen Hurts had a bad pass D, and the offensive line was falling apart, and they had a bunch of injuries and bad karma. Everybody's pointing the finger, and they went south. This year, they got a new defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, a couple new additions in the secondary, and suddenly you've got new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. You add Saquon Barkley, you add a little bit to the offensive line, and now they are looking like a Super Bowl monster that could go to the Super Bowl in front of Detroit. So I'm just saying that Hurts and Purdy are very similar. They both can do it if they're surrounded by the right surrounding cast. But that's what it's going to take. Where Josh Allen and Lamar and Burrow and Mahomes, those guys are on a different level. They can kind of elevate the whole thing, even if it's not very good. I mean, Mahomes won the Super Bowl last year in what most Kansas City fans described as kind of their transition year. So that's how great he is. So all I'm saying is Brock Purdy's not a superstar. I think we can say that. But he is Jalen Hurts, which is a damn good NFL quarterback. Top half of the NFL, somewhere, I think, Damon, between 5 and 13, 14, somewhere in that range, 5 to 12. That's where Purdy and Hurts live. That's okay. Okay. But it's also okay to say he's not a superstar. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Well, it's also okay to say that the next superstar quarter, the next Mahomes is not in this draft class. Unless you think
I don't know about that.
Unless you think Shedeur Sanders is that good.
Well, I think Cam Ward is that good.
That good. I don't know. I don't know. I like Cam Ward too, but I don't think he is resurrecting franchises and coming into the league on a Hall of Fame track. No, but okay, let's have a plan for the Niners at quarterback, because it all starts there. When you're putting together your team, you got to start with your quarterback room. Okay, so Brock's going to make more, whether it's this year or next, for sure. We know he's going to make more. How much more, we can debate. So that means you probably can't afford any kind of veteran multi-million-dollar backup. So goodbye to Brandon Allen. Goodbye to Josh Dobbs. Thanks for coming. Okay. That's where it starts. So you're coming back. You got Brock and you got Mordecai and you got a couple open roster spots probably, or at least one and maybe a practice squad spot. What's the best way to do it? Well, look at Minnesota has gone the reclamation project, and so's Tampa, and they've got reclamation quarterbacks. So that's almost like instead of Brock, not in addition to Brock.
So I would say the better plan for the Niners is, since you know that 18 of the last 21 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks were Hall of Famers, I think it's incumbent on your front office to keep drafting quarterbacks every year, looking for a Hall of Fame quarterback, looking for the next Joe,
Yes,
looking for the next Brady. That's the
isn't
plan.
Isn't that obvious? Do you think
But
that
no,
there's
it's
any
not,
team
because
who's not looking for a Hall of Fame quarterback at any particular time?
well, first of all, most teams don't draft a quarterback unless they absolutely have to have one. And what I'm saying is the Niners should pretend that Brock Purdy doesn't exist and take a good hard look, scout the entire crop of quarterbacks, and decide if there's a day 3. You're not going to invest, let's be honest, you're not going to invest a day 1 or day 2 pick on a quarterback with Brock Purdy there. Doesn't make sense. But on day 3, it does make sense. So invest in a day 3 quarterback that you think has upside. I in this draft, I like Riley Leonard from Notre Dame a lot. And I really like Haynes King from Georgia Tech a lot.
Look,
and they're both day 3 quarterbacks. So take a couple day 3 quarterbacks, put them on your roster, and keep doing that until you either find a quarterback that's a Hall of Famer that you want to keep, or maybe you find a quarterback that shows he can play in a league where there's only 25 good ones in a 32-team league, and then you trade that guy for a second-round pick or a first-round pick, and you build faster.
Larry, I honestly don't think you need to worry about any of this. Like, I think this is how the 49ers think. They invested all that draft capital to take Trey Lance, and in the very next draft, they came back with a day 3 quarterback pick. His name is Brock.
Yeah, so, but they haven't drafted a quarterback since. And what I'm saying is you need to keep drafting quarterbacks that you like on day 3 of the draft, and in the hopes that one of them becomes a tradable asset, or in the real dream that one of them becomes Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Hall of Famer.
By the way, Spider Rico here is saying Larry Cowherd stopped at 21 instead of 23 last Super Bowls because it cuts off Dilford and Brad Johnson. Take away 9 Super Bowls between Mahomes and Brady. That's a washed Peyton, Flacco, Foles, Eli, and Wilson. So again, we are hand picking.
Breeze. Don't forget Breeze.
Drew Brees.
Got Breeze in there.
Yep. Beat the Bears. Anyway.
But I'm just saying, I mean,
I
there's
think
multiple ways to do this, and you don't, I mean, look at Caleb. This is a perfect example. There was a bunch of quarterbacks drafted at the top of this draft. It's really risky. You don't know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good. You said it. You just questioned my thing saying that I think Penix is really good. Well, he hasn't done it yet. Well, he's done it in college, but you're right. He hasn't done it in the pros yet. And for a lot of people, that's like a huge, huge thing. Okay, so it's like he hasn't been born yet. It's like, oh, I can't talk about that baby. He's not even born yet. That's how college football is to people who don't watch it. They're like, people are literally hatched out of eggs on draft day, and yet they've played an entire collegiate career, sometimes at a very high level. I'm just saying that there's so many ways to get a quarterback. You can invest highly in them, but I don't think you should. But you also shouldn't just be like, well, we got Brock, we don't need to draft anybody. Keep going for quarterbacks until you find the one that you need, or motivate, or maybe it motivates Brock. But don't. I'm so sick of the modern NFL where Kyle doesn't want to upset anybody, and Lynch doesn't want to upset anybody. Do you think Joe Montana wanted Steve Young there? No. Do you think Steve Young wanted Joe Montana standing over his shoulder in 92 and 93? No. But guess what? Joe played his best with Steve looking over his shoulder. Steve played his best with Joe looking over his shoulder. So screw their feelings and screw the feelings of Brock Purdy, and go get the best quarterback you can looking right over his shoulder and putting pressure on him, because if you get a damn good rookie, Brock's going to be better than if you get some bum out of the UFL or some Canada or whatever who can't play a lick. So go for a great quarterback and put pressure on Brock to get better.
Having someone pushing you is always beneficial as an athlete, and it's beneficial to the team as well. So yeah, you do want that. Have you really like an inclination that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are making draft picks based on not hurting dudes' feelings? I've never. I think
I just know the way it is. I mean,
he thinks or feels about anything at any time. If he thinks it's football right, anything else is football wrong. So he doesn't care. I don't think Kyle gives a shit about anybody's draft day feelings about nothing. And drafting Ricky Pearsall while Ayuk was in limbo, I think is evident to that.
What I'm saying is, if you have guys who are pure backups, there's no debate. But they got rid of Trey Lance. Why? They didn't have to get rid of Trey Lance. There's no reason they had to get rid of Trey Lance. They could have just said, Trey, stay here. But they got rid of Trey Lance because they didn't want, another quarterback sitting right there that 40% of the fan base, every time Brock stepped in shit, was like, put in Trey Lance. So they got rid of Trey Lance.
Maybe, but I also think that they evaluated Trey Lance as a non-functional quarterback, and I do believe that his career will bear that fruit. Trey's never going to have an NFL career. It's over. He's there. There's no situation. The train that he was supposed to hop on will pass him by now. And it's just, who's gonna be really curious? And it hasn't happened yet. Trey Lance, 4 years into a career that's never jump started. You go back to you go back out to the vegetable garden. You get new vegetables. You don't get the rotting Trey Lance. He's 20.
I mean, it's so that what you're saying is so ridiculous because you're talking about a guy who's so young. You're talking about a guy who, I mean. There's like 20 Hall of Fame quarterbacks who at this exact same age were nothing.
Where's he getting the opportunity though? Where is he?
I don't know. I don't know where he's going to get the opportunity, but I'm just saying it's too soon to sign off on a guy who's 23.
Look at it this way. Of all of those quarterbacks that you just talked about, all of those unnamed quarterbacks who at this point in their careers couldn't, weren't established yet, they were at least playing. You're talking about a guy who isn't even allowed to.
No, that's not true, actually. That's not true.
All right. Well, I didn't know.
It's not true. I mean, you can make statements, but they're not true. That's not true.
About Trey Lance. Trey Lance can't hit the field to save his fucking life. Okay.
Right. He's been really, really bad right now. There's no question. He's been really, really bad.
All right.
But guess what? There were many quarterbacks, Damon, that were 23 that were bad. I mean, do your homework. Almost every Hall of Fame quarterback that's ever played wasn't good.
All right.
Steve Young was bad until he was 31, Damon. Right, Steve Young, that's in this market. That's with this team. What are we talking about?
He was a starting quarterback
professionally. He wasn't playing. He wasn't playing. He was sitting.
For the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
He played for a year. He sat for 5. He sat.
Right. Well,
he wasn't good.
Football worked so much differently back then,
where you would
draft a guy and not even play him. I mean, you would let him hold a clipboard for 2 years to develop. Like you didn't get thrown right into it. So there's a lot of different.
I know, but you're throwing Lance away, Damon. All I'm saying is Kurt Warner wasn't good till he was 27. Ken Stabler wasn't good till he was 27. Terry Bradshaw wasn't good in his first 5 years. Steve Young wasn't good until he was 31. Dan Fouts wasn't good until he was 28. I mean, there's literally 25. I think there's 27 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and like 20 of them weren't good in their first 3 or 4 years. So it just takes a long time. It takes a while. You're probably right. Today, Trey's a bust. But guess what? This point last year, Sam Darnold was a bust. This point 2 years ago, Baker Mayfield was a bust. This point 2 years ago, Geno Smith was a bust. So all I'm saying is there's an evolution to this thing.
Right.
And you're right in the present, but you may not be right in the future.
But all those guys busted out while they were on the field, like playing at least. Look, I don't want to get arguing about Trey Lance again, but Trey is going to either emerge as, there's no room for him in Dallas. So to now find his opportunity, he's going to have to be on a third team, which is a third language, which is a third situation that he's failed under 2 offensive-minded head coaches. And I just
enough of this. Enough of this. Tell me this
for him.
Tell me the young quarterback that's not good that's going to be good, because they exist.
Well,
and because you can't tell me who that is doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
So maybe Michael Penix, because we don't know yet, right? We don't know yet.
No, he hasn't played yet. I'm saying there are going to be guys who have played, Damon. There's going to be guys who have played who don't play well, and then they get another chance and they do play well.
Yeah, I think Bo Nix is going to be in this league for a long time. I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be in this league for a long time. I think
you're taking guys who have only played well. I'm saying take somebody who's not playing well and tell me he's going to be good in the future.
Brock Purdy.
Okay.
He's not playing very well right now. I think he's going to be good.
I guess. But my point is that you see things as they are, but you know what? There's an evolution to these things, and and guys get better over time or get worse. And Vinny Testaverde was a bust with the Buccaneers, but he had a pretty damn good career with the Jets and the Ravens. I'm just saying, guys break. I mean, Alex Smith was horrible until his 11th year in the league.
I mean, and even then, he wasn't very good.
Yes, he was. He was very good. He was very good with Kansas City.
He
was good with the Niners, but he was very good with Kansas City.
And Travis Kelce.
You get better or you get worse, and things can change, and that's all I'm saying. I basically agree. I'm not sitting here going, "Oh, Trey Lance is going to be a star." I'm just saying it's possible. It's possible.
You want to see the most disturbing comment this show's received? Chaos Theory says, Damon, I'm milking the chicken.
Don't milk the chicken. Please don't.
I don't even know what that is.
That's why we don't take video calls.
By the way,
you might be milking the chicken.
Yeah. When you're done doing that, go to Sam's Chowder House down in Half Moon Bay. You will get much better results than whatever that means. There we are. There it is. Change the subject by getting us down to Half Moon Bay. My God, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Have you been to Sam's? I mean, we've been telling you about it for 12 weeks now. I hope that you've taken our advice. You come here for our football advice and conversation all the time. Trust us. We know more about food than we probably do football, and we get the bodies to prove it. Go to Sam's. Delicious. Thank you very much.
Check them out. Half Moon Bay. Can't beat it. God, all these people were just like, Lance sucks. Lance sucks. Lance sucks. It's like, you people, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like you were saying the same thing about Darnold last year. Look, I know because I did all these shows. You know how many people said Darnold sucks? You know me, the same people that were yelling last year that Darnold sucks, and it's outrageous that Trey Lance is not in front of Darnold, are the same people now saying that the Niners ought to trade Brock Purdy and go sign Sam Darnold.
Look, I just don't think that Trey Lance is eventually going to have that Geno Smith got up off the doubting deck and he turned into something really special. And I'll tell you right now, I think Geno Smith I wouldn't want him as my quarterback.
He was only leading the number one pass. He was only the number one passer in the league like 2 weeks ago.
Still don't want him.
I don't know about that. You know, I don't know. I mean, personally,
Geno Smith for Brock Purdy right now.
What's that?
1 for 1. Brock Purdy for Geno Smith right now. Are you making that deal?
No, I would not make.
Well, then that's what then why are you arguing with me?
Because that's not what you said. I mean, I think Brock Purdy's good. I think Geno is. Come on, Geno's once again the number one passing attack in the league. Was the Seattle Seahawks this year with Geno Smith. The highest completion percentage in the league, I think, was Geno Smith. He was like 73%. So, I mean, I don't think Geno Smith's awesome, but Geno Smith is not a bust.
Not anymore.
Quite a bit better than the player that people thought he was.
Here's the thing. If you're a starting NFL quarterback, by definition, you are not a bust.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, well, that's not true either. I mean, there's a starting NFL quarterbacks that then obviously become busts. So there's lots of busts out there for sure. All right, let's hit some of these supers. I got to get out of here. DeBig, just heard Larry on KMBR making valid points. Thank you, DeBig. Ray Rogers, would you trade Brock to move up into a top 3 spot? No. I would if I could get to the top 3 spot, but I don't think that deal's available. Black Suburban, Welp, Kyle successfully dropped Brock Purdy's price tag.
Who are you taking that you're trading Brock Purdy for a top 3 spot?
Who would I take?
Yeah.
In the top 3? I mean, you would not get a top 3 pick for Brock Purdy. That's my point. Who would I take? I'd have to think about it. I'd
Yeah, I'm
need a
not doing that.
quarterback. I'd need a quarterback. So I probably would take a quarterback. I don't know which one, but I would definitely draft somebody good. Let me see. Let me see who's out there.
Look,
I
if
mean,
you
I'll say
would
this is
trade
not a
Brock,
great draft. This is not an
no, it's
epic
not.
draft.
No, it isn't.
This draft is going to be, there's a lot of people that they feel like it's about 15 deep.
By the way, let me
Travis Hunter is an incredible player. So
he is, but
Travis
he's
Hunter,
football.
he's an amazing player.
He's not going to be a two-way star in the NFL. Like, you got to pick a side of the ball.
He's a corner. But he's a great corner. I mean, he's a number one corner. Shadur Sanders, not good enough leader for me. I've seen him do way too many immature things. I like Cam Ward. I love Mason Graham, the big defensive tackle from Michigan. To me, Mason Graham is kind of a modern day version of Justin Smith. So did you like the Cowboy? If you like the Cowboy, take Mason Graham. This Arizona wide receiver is a freaking amazing. Teteroa McMillan. He's 6'5", he's 210, he's got 84 catches on the year. He's an amazing player. And then there's tackles. Will Campbell from LSU is one that they're going to have to take a look at for sure. He's a blue chipper. I mean, that's pretty much where it goes. Take a look at the LSU tackles: Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, McMillan, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter. That's about it. But yeah, I mean, would I trade Brock Purdy for a top 3 pick? Yeah, I would.
Then don't give him a $50 million fucking deal, Larry, if that's how you feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you can't have it both ways. He's a $50 million a year quarterback in your franchise going forward, or you're trading him for a top 3 pick. Which is it?
Well, but I'm just saying, isn't that top 3 pick have value? You're just either way. You're saying the guy's got tremendous value.
Quarterback who was in a Super Bowl last year.
I'm just saying. You're saying, what's the value of Brock Purdy? Nobody's giving you a top 3 pick for Brock Purdy. You're not getting a top 3 pick. So if somebody offers you a top 3 pick in the draft for Brock Purdy, I would say you take that, because that's higher than his value, in my opinion.
I would not do that at all.
You wouldn't trade Brock for a top 3 pick?
No, I'm not going back to square one of offense.
You would be in the minority, because I think most people would trade Brock for a top 3 pick. If there was a rumor that the Niners were going to trade Brock Purdy for a top 3 pick, I think most Niner fans would be like, yeah, I think I'd probably do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Black Suburban Whelp. Kyle successfully dropped Brock Purdy's price tag. Fuji Simeon, Chicago Tribune reported Virginia Hallis McCaskey's goal is to keep her father's legacy. The Bears going. I don't think she travels to road games anymore.
Yeah. She did stop it.
Barry Ford used to work for the Bears years ago. Hard not to pull for them being in that stadium on game day. I feel your pain, bro.
Thank you, Barry. I wonder what Barry did for the Bears.
I don't know. Heather Taylor is curious if you guys think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have ability to turn this around. I feel like they deserve the benefit of the doubt since they've done it once. I think they definitely deserve the ability to turn it around. The question is their vision of how to turn it around one and the same with Jed's vision and what he wants to see it, how he wants to see it turned around? I mean, let's say Jed says, hey, I want John, I want you to hire Scott McLuhan this spring and have a draft consultant. John may say, no, I don't like that. I don't like that idea. I don't want Scott looking over my shoulder. And then what does Jed do? Are there any parameters? See, I don't know that I would want these guys back with no parameters. I want to know. I think you need a better defensive coordinator. I think you need, I think you need to hit in the first round, things like that. So, I mean, I don't know that I would bring these guys back with no parameters. I think I want some parameters. Mike 824 Sorensen looks like he was pulled from a fire. Very
he lost scabbing. I don't understand that.
Barry Ford says, I agree with Larry. Be careful what you wish for. Tony Nagatani, Brock Purdy has an opportunity this weekend to go out there and show why he's worth $40 million a year. Needs to go out and decimate Mr. First overall. Tony,
it's going to be hard to do
$60 million a year.
it's going to be hard to do when you got a coach who's decided, even though I have one of the best tight ends in the history of football, I'm not even going to bother throwing him the fucking ball.
Oh, I know. I mean, come on. Where's Kittle? I mean,
Dude.
2 targets for Kittle. I mean, and if you're telling me you need him to block, I would tell you go find somebody else to block.
Yeah.
Get him out in the pattern.
Have Jalen Moore pretend he's a tight end. He's your blocking tight end. Congratulations.
Go find a blocker. I mean, invent one. I mean, my God, there's a bunch of offensive linemen sitting out there who are unemployed. Some of them are undersized with quick feet. Take one of them, make him a converted tight end. It's not the hardest thing to do. Joseph Ernberg says Larry secretly runs everything in the Niners. Thank you. Niner gang. Kyle Shanahan's coaching record: 6-10, 4-12, 13-3, 6-10, 10-7, 13-4, 12-5. If we miss the playoffs, that's a 50-50 coach who loses when favored and leading in both Super Bowls.
I would just say, Niner gang, that you should throw away those first 2 seasons because he turned over the roster entirely. I mean, he was handed a bag of flaming dog shit when he took over as head coach. So I'm always comfortable with cutting the first 2 years out of that. And I start evaluating Kyle from 2019. And when you evaluate Kyle from 2019 on, other than Andy Reid, he's had the most success in the sport.
Well, and you can also throw out, I think, that 2020 year. I mean, my God, that was the most ridiculous, ravaged injury year I've ever seen covering pro football. So I agree with Damon. The first 2 years, you can throw those out. That 6-10 2020 season, you can throw that out. So really what you're looking at is 13-3, 10-7, 13-4, 12-5, and this year.
Yeah, with 4 NFC title games and 2 Super Bowl appearances.
Yeah.
And you want to fire that guy?
And 8-4 in the playoffs. You know, it's not like he's, I've heard people say he's Marty Schottenheimer. No, he's not. Marty Schottenheimer lost in the playoffs. Kyle Shanahan's 8-4 in the playoffs. He doesn't win big games. He's won 2 NFC championship games.
He's won the 3rd most playoff games in the history of the franchise already.
Right. And he's won more playoff games than like almost all the guys. He's got a better win percentage, I should say, than all the other head coaches that have the same number of or more playoff appearances. I mean, he's gotten it done in the playoffs. I mean, they've won here. He's had a lot of success. And the question is going forward are they going to continue having success? Oli Chaos is, why are we talking about replacing Brock? He's still the same guy with the ability and the stats. Fix the team, not the quarterback. Stop getting injured. Jesus. People are talking about replacing Brock because there's a lot of people that there's a lot of hand-wringing over the fact that they're going to have to pay him. It's like there's a lot of people that didn't like Brock Purdy, okay? When I told you that Brock was good his rookie year, there were a lot of people that are like, you're crazy. And those people didn't like Brock then, and then only grudgingly have pretended to like Brock since. And now they never really liked Brock. And so now that it's time to pay Brock and they're backsliding, there's tons of people, locally, nationally, Nick Wright, that are sitting there and saying he's mid. He could be mid, but then the rest of your quarterbacks suck because he's better than all of them. So how did we get here? Brock's better than Jimmy and Brock's better than Trey. That's how we got here. As far as replacing him, people are talking about it because now it's like, well, you can't pay him because if you pay him, then your team's really not going to be good. And it's I understand that. I mean, it's a cap sport. You're now going to take a guy who's making $1 million and you're going to pay him 50. And obviously that's going to drag down the rest of your team. So there's a lot of people at this pivot point look at it as an inflection point and as a point to say, either he's our guy or he's not our guy. John Lynch has made it perfectly clear that they believe in Brock and he's their guy. But what's the price tag? Are they going to get him at 45, 40, 35, 30, 50, 55? I mean, there's so much room here that it does make you wonder if they're going to be able to get an agreement or if it's going to just turn into another long-term ugly holdout, which would cost the team next year. So they got to figure this out. They got to figure this thing out, man. They got to figure out either what he wants or what it's going to take and what's doable and what they're willing to do and get on the same page early on. This is kind of like, hey, we'll just make an offer and it organically is all going to come together. That ain't going to happen. So they're going to have to make some communication with him, decide, figure out what he wants, figure out if they want to pay it, and then go from there. Really, I mean, because if you don't want to pay it, if you're saying, hey, I don't want to pay this guy $60 million, and his agent's like, we won't sign for a penny under 60, then what? What do you do then?
Now we got a problem.
Now we got a problem. We got a problem.
Now you and I are going to have another really interesting YouTube show.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. So communication is going to be key here. Blood Moon says if Cam Ward somehow fell enough for San Francisco, should they? Yes. Cam Ward reminds me so much of Lamar. I mean, he's kind of small and he makes some mistakes, but he's definitely got some playmaking ability there. There's definitely some special there for sure.
Yeah, but he's not running like Lamar did when he was at Louisville. Jesus.
I think well, first of all, Lamar is the greatest runner since Michael Vick, but
Lamar's a greater runner.
This guy runs just like Lamar in that he's not afraid. And he's not. He'll change up his pace. He'll jog to the sidelines the way that Lamar will.
By the way,
knowing that if you want to hit me, and then you'll draw the penalty.
NFL
so he's really advanced.
NFL stat that blew me away this week. Do you know, Larry, without looking, what quarterback in the NFL right now leads all quarterbacks in yards per rushing attempt? To the point where his number is so impressive. If he maintains it, he will exit this year with the most yards per rushing attempt in the history of the position of quarterback.
Jaden Daniels.
No. You'll never get it. Yeah, there's no way.
Well, I will never get it.
You will never guess this.
Wait, I think I will. I think I'll get it.
Well, no, I just told you.
Is it a starter?
Kind of.
Starting quarterback?
Kind of.
Jacoby Brissett.
No.
Okay, I don't know.
Drake May.
Wow.
He's averaging like 8.9 a carry.
Yeah, he's probably had a couple long runs, but Drake May's played well. He's looked good. Arpod says, "Hey, here you go. Thank you, Arpod." Blood Moon. Cam Ward fell in our lap with our history first round picks. I think you've kind of asked that question before. I think, didn't you? No, or maybe not.
I don't know.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Cool. He asked this one: if Cam Ward somehow fell, should they? And then he's asking this one: Cam Ward fell in our lap with our history of first round picks. Blood Moon, thank you twice. Thank you. Appreciate that. And that's going to do it for us. I'm off to Santa Clara. We got a busy day today. Kyle speaks at 12:45 or 12:30, maybe 12:30. And then there'll be practice. We'll do the full breakdown from Santa Clara, and I'll be back tonight for Niners Nightly at 6. Damon, what do you got cooking the rest of the day? I know you're under the weather.
Yeah, I'm day quilling and night quilling as hard as I can. I'm double quilled up. I'm quilled, Larry. I'm quilled. And I just got to get rid of this crud because tomorrow I've got an interview set up with Courtney Cronin, who used to be out here in the Bay Area News Group. And then she got the ESPN job covering the Minnesota Vikings. She gets promoted to the Bears beat, and she's all over ESPN programming left and right. And most importantly, she's a proud graduate of Indiana University. So Courtney and I have an awful lot to talk about tomorrow. Really looking forward to having her in. We're going to be doing hopefully an 11 o'clock show tomorrow and then taping something with Courtney later in the day. I had a great conversation with Matt Mayoko yesterday. And because I'm not doing a show at 11, if anyone wants to go and watch that, I'd really appreciate that. Consider that today's live show. If you missed it yesterday, go watch our conversation with Mayoko. It was fantastic. And I want to wrap up with this, Larry. There is one, there's always a silver lining in the cloud, right? Ben Barch. Start that guy. Ben Barch. Ben Barch had himself. Nobody played well in Green Bay other than Ben Barch. He had a great game. I want to see more of him. I think he's taken Aaron Banks' job. And the fact that McCaffrey was busting off some of his best runs of the year with neither Trent Williams or Aaron Banks there to the left side. Look, this is no one's going to say anything about Trent Williams this week, right? I mean, my God, what he and his wife are going through, it's so sad. I don't. Is he playing on Sunday? If he doesn't, obviously he gets all the grace in the world. But Ben Barch is the only thing coming out of Green Bay that I think is like, oh well, maybe you found a little something that you didn't have before. How many carries for Garendo on Sunday, Larry?
That's going to be interesting. I'm not sure. He just doesn't have the feel, and they did sign Izzy Abanaconda, who is a player. Izzy Abanaconda is a burner at 217 pounds. He runs somewhere between 4.26 and 4.33. He's super fast. He was a really good player at Pittsburgh. I did a video on him in the 2023 draft that I just put out on Twitter yesterday. Again, I reposted it. But yeah, it's Izzy Abanaconda, Garendo, and Patrick Taylor to share the carries. I would love to see Izzy get some run. I would love to see where he's at. But somebody in here, by the way, had some ridiculous comment. Oh yeah, this one. Schultz Hope. Sanders, Shedeur Sanders is a leader. Larry, stop the BS. No, he's not. Come on. I mean, a leader. He's immature as hell. I mean, I've seen this kid go and do some of the most immature things I've ever seen on a football field. I mean, he wouldn't shake the hand of the opposing quarterback a couple weeks ago. I mean, come on.
His coach. He wouldn't shake the hand of the opposing coach, too.
Oh, yeah.
In the Colorado State rivalry.
That was lame.
There is some my dad's in charge, so that means I'm in charge vibe about him that I don't like.
Yeah. I'm not like there's players, there's coaches, and then there's me. I'm in between. I'm neither. I've got like special status. He's a good player. There's no question, but don't tell me he's a super leader. He's very, very immature. There's no question about that. Anyway, that does it for us. Have a great rest of your day. Go Niners. Hopefully they get off the deck.
Had a great Thanksgiving. I really do. The sides, it all worked in my house, Larry. I hope it did with you too.
The bird that we had was remarkably healthy. I examined both of the ACLs. And then, Damon, I just ripped a wing right off because I just said, hey, man, I'm fucking Trent Baalke, and that's how I roll.